Hi everybody, welcome to Colette's Thermy Kitchen. My name is Colette Retrieger. I am a Thermomix consultant here in Australia with over 1,000 customers in all states and territories. Now, if you are thinking of getting a Thermomix, either the amazing TM6 or the TM7, no matter where you are in Australia, I would love to support you getting your Thermomix and having fun with it afterwards. Now today, we are going to be doing flatbread. Now flatbread is just so easy to make, and you know, when you're looking at the packets that you buy in the shop, what's included in them, you might want to rethink and start making them yourself. Super duper easy, a couple of basic rules for you to follow, and what I will be doing is I will be putting this recipe with notes and suggestions up on my blog later on this evening, so you'll have lots of access and you can actually make these whenever you want to. Now let's crack on. So flatbread, it's basically 4 ingredients, really easy, as I said. Now first up, I have got some self-raising flour and a little bit of olive oil, some salt and some yogurt. Yogurt, salt, olive oil. Yep, so 4 ingredients, really easy. Now, in terms of quantity, you can make a big batch, a smaller batch. These freeze really well, and I'll talk to you a little bit later about how I freeze them. But the kind of ratio that I work to is 45 grams per person. So today I'm just making 2 loaded flatbreads, so I'm just doing 2 flatbreads. So that will mean I'm going to need about 90 grams of flour because there's 2 of them, 45 grams per person. And you use the same amount of flour as you do to yogurt. We'll actually use a little bit more flour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the scales in the TM6 here.
Is this a cookie dough recipe?
No, there are flatbread recipes on cookie dough that you can follow, and they come up really well, not quite as quick. But they're really delicious, so you can certainly use that. But this is my go-to that I've been using for many years. I love it, and it works really well for me. So here we go, just bringing up the scales. Where are my scales?
So Meryl and Sue, good afternoon to you both as well. And thank you, Meryl. I'm having sort of some good days, bad days. Today is actually not a great day for me, but I'm trying to get myself weaned off painkillers and anti-inflammatories, and it's not quite working the way I'd like, so...
So you can see now, I'm working on 95 grams, if you remember, because I want to make 2. But I always put in a little bit of extra flour, so I usually put in a heaped teaspoon of more flour than yogurt. You don't need to get hung up on that because we really don't want too wet a dough, and it can be a bit wet. Now to that, I'm going to tar back my scales, and I'm going to add 95 grams just of your nice Thermy-made yogurt. Let's just bring that back. Bring that back to tar. Excellent. So looking at 95 grams. Don't go over because you'll end up with too much of a wet dough. So that's going to be absolutely fine. All right, perfection. Now, so in here I have got, just to say, my flour and my yogurt. So let's just quickly mention the flour before I progress. I'm using self-raising flour. You want to use self-raising flour just to give it a little bit of lightness. If you've only got plain flour, which is what I always have, remember the kind of ratio: 1 cup of plain flour and you add 2 teaspoons of baking powder to that, and you sift it together to create self-raising flour. 1 cup of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. All right, now to that mix, just a tiny little drizzle of olive oil. It's going to give it a little bit of flavour, which will be lovely. And salt, again for flavour, and a nice generous amount of salt is going to go in there. And that's it.
Are we going to be eating these? What are we having them with?
I'm going to surprise you. All right, so that's going to go on. And I am going to pop this in and go literally mix these together. I don't use the dough function, I just go straight into the mixing function, and I'm going to go for into manual cooking mode. So remember, even though you've got over 100,000 recipes that you can actually cook and be totally guided on, you can use your TM6 or your TM7 in manual mode. So here we go. I'm just going to go for 10 seconds. That will be plenty. And I'm going to go at speed 4. So that's all good, all done. So you can see there, we've got a kind of a dough. It's manageable, not too wet. So what I'm going to do is to take that out and just invert that on my mat or on your bench. If you haven't got a thermomat, just make sure you've sprinkled flour. And literally for this one, because it is a little bit wetter, I'm just going to take the dough out, push down the blade, and then just scrape up that little bit of extra. Now the thing is, yes, we could add a heap more flour to this, but that's going to make these flatbreads a bit heavy. So, you know, I choose kind of not to do that. I'm just going to take that off, just whisk that back in there, put that back on just for now. Remember, this is just enough for 2. A little bit of flour, even though I am using this because it is a little bit of a wettish dough, but that's looking fantastic. That's what I would expect. And then what I would do is I would then wrap that up and let it rest. Now, you can wrap it in plastic if you don't have the thermomat. My most recommended item from the mix shop is that thermomat. It is fabulous. Now, in terms of why we do this, what happens when you mix everything together like we've just done? The gluten tightens up. Now, you can absolutely go ahead, roll these out and cook them straight away, but the problem is that because the gluten is so tight, you're going to roll them out and the gluten is going to pull it back in again. So it's going to pull it back in, which makes it really hard to roll nicely. Now, if on the other hand, you have rested your dough, minimum 10 minutes is what I would say. This one has been going for half an hour, which is absolutely perfect. You will find that you will roll this out much nicer. And what I do with my thermomat is literally to pop my dough in the center, and then I use the lines to kind of guide me so I know I've got virtually equal portions. And now I'm just going to roll this out, a bit more flour, and rolling pin, and off we go. Okay, so just making sure you're turning, you're flouring these lovely flatbreads. And what I'm actually doing is I'm using the mat to do a 20 centimetre, roughly a 20 centimetre guide for shaping these. A little bit more flour. You can add additional things to this dough. So if I couldn't be bothered to make naan bread in my Thermomix, if I was a bit time poor, these would take me no time, and I could add into them a little bit of turmeric and some cumin seeds to this mix, and that would be just lovely. But can you see how it's not pulling back into itself? That is because I have rested it. If you're going to be using this this is a flatbread to pick up a dip, you want to roll it chunky. But if you want to use it just to load up with things, you want to go nice and small. So, into my pan, so medium hot pan, and you want about 2 minutes each side, and that will be just perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cook the one, I'm just going to pop that one away, and I'll deal with him later.
We used to often order garlic naan bread when we went to the Indian restaurants.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. The coriander and garlic naan bread on cookie dough is fabulous. If you haven't made it, give it a try. Really, really good. Now, if you have a look at the pan, what you'll see is all these lovely little bubbles appearing. That's a really good sign. That means it's browning up lovely underneath. Probably only been about a minute, but I can take a little peek and just show you so you can see what's happening there. So we're going to leave that for a little bit longer. Now, flatbreads, do you remember, Andrew, mealtime when the boys were younger? Mealtime would be a miserable time if there was no bread on the table. The boys would always have to have bread rolls, pita breads, flatbreads. There would always have to be
Everything
bread.
would go into a sandwich.
Oh, absolutely.
Mashed potatoes, peas, all go into a sandwich.
They used to always do that. So this has been a real great thing to actually make. So, just to show you with pita bread, it's a great thing for your leftovers. I'm going to flip this now, it should be about right. Let's have a little look. No, a little bit longer, you can see there. I like it to be done a bit better. You can load on top of this whatever you want to load on top. And what I might do, actually, I have got a couple that I've done earlier. You want to keep your pita breads, we'll use that one as a bit fresh.
Naan bread.
Huh?
Not pita bread.
I keep calling it pita, flat bread. So this is one that I did earlier, and you want to keep it in a tea towel while you're working with them. That makes them nice and flexible. And in terms of actually freezing these, what I tend to do is roll them up while they're still nice and warm, and then pop them into a bag, and that way I can take one or two out as and when I need them. So now I'm going to turn that, it's looking nice.
How long did you rest it in the cellophane?
Minimum 10 minutes, but you can go longer. I like to aim for about half an hour, but sometimes I'm in a rush and I don't even rest it at all.
And what does the resting do?
Resting will mean that when you roll it out, it's going to stay where you rolled it out. If it's not rested, the gluten's still tight and it will pull back in, just like it does with pastry. So resting is an important stage in this kind of pastry bread making. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a load of pizza just as a nice snack. And you can do all sorts. Now on my blog I'm going to have a whole heap of suggestions. You can actually use this flatbread dough as a pizza base if you wanted. It's really, really very flexible. Let me just check this one here. It's looking beautiful. But on here what I'm going to do, I've raided my fridge, literally raided my fridge of stuff that I needed to use up. And I've got a little bit of cream cheese in here, which I've just added in some sriracha. It's a lovely combination. Do you like that combination, Andrew?
Don't know. Shall I try it?
Lovely. Alright, so I'm just going to add a little bit of this on here. Okay. Love the angle spatulas because they help me to spread things out nice and easily. Beautiful. Alright. So just load it up there, and then
There we go.
just have a little check on this guy. Oh, he's looking good. And then onto that, what I'm going to do, I've got some caramelized onions. Have you made caramelized onions in your TM6 yet? Oh my goodness, this is a fridge staple. They are delicious, and you can just put them into sandwiches. So many different things you can use these for. You can, if you're doing a lovely steak, just warm some of these up and have the steak sitting on top of them. It's just delicious. So I'm just going to add some of this into here. Just going to mix that through. So you can see the flavour profile. You don't have to use those. And to that mix, a little bit unusual, but I need to kind of finish that off. I've got some salmon that I do need to finish off. Okay, so you can see here now that flatbread, just beautiful, and that's exactly kind of what you want. The fajitas would be amazing in here. So remember, when you've got your flatbreads, to basically pop them into a tea towel. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. So that they will keep nice and flexible. And you just wrap them up in the tea towel while you make the others. Right, so what I actually have that I have to use up, Andrew's been telling me for days, is some smoked salmon. So I am going to put on there a little bit of smoked salmon. And you can do as much as a little. So there's all sorts of different things that you can do. That's going to be delicious. And of course, what goes beautifully with smoked salmon? Cucumber. So I'm just going to whop into my dirty Thermomix bowl my cutter. I'm going to just drop that in. And this is one of the things I love with the Thermomix cutter, is that it is just so nice and quick and easy to set up. So I've got a cucumber here, and I want to make just some nice cucumber to go on top. So
Like a knife.
Grab a knife. Ah, here's a knife. Okay, that will be good. So I'm just going to position that into here, into the cutter, and then I'm going to head into my modes, and I'm going to go down to my spiralizer, and off we go. Done. Okay, wait for the arms to open up. There we go. Ooh. Excellent. And then now we've got some lovely cucumber.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Just to sit
so
on top.
so little in the way of what you've got to clean up afterwards.
Yep. And that's kind of just give it that freshness. And then, of course, you know, Andrew and I, we love our chili, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of chili on top of this flavour profile. And then just a little bit of chives as well, because that will go lovely with everything else I've got. So the salmon probably is an unusual mix, but I did taste it together before I pulled this together, and it does taste quite nice. But you could put ham on there, you could put bacon on there, you could literally put anything that you wanted, and it would be very delicious. So there's a little flatbread here, so I'm just going to in half. Okay.
How are you supposed to eat this?
Hmm?
Just hold it.
Yep, just hold it. There you go, my dear. Look how gorgeous that's going to be.
Okay.
And how lovely and flexible these
interested.
flatbreads are.
That works.
Yum.
That tastes so fresh and lovely
So,
textures.
A bit of a mess today, guys. A bit messy in my kitchen. But flatbreads, super easy. So the recipe, notes, suggestions. Now, sometimes what I will do when I cook the flatbread is I will put some ghee in the pan and cook them in a little bit of ghee. These ones were just cooked dry, which is kind of traditional. But there's going to be lots of ideas for you on flatbreads on my blog. Now, just as a reminder, my blog is Thermi, THERMIE, kitchen.com. Simple, thermikitchen.com.
Needs seasoning.
It does. I was thinking I needed a sprinkle of salt, or even lemon juice would be quite nice. So I will actually pop that up later on tonight. So go in tomorrow, I'll put a link up on my Facebook page, and then you can become flatbread experts. I mean, how easy are they to make? Super, super easy when you've got a Thermomix. Really, really good.
Imagine the kids come home from school and you want to give them that snack, you know, before dinner. This would be what a great fun thing. Just the freshness, the taste of it. It's just lovely.
Really good. This is a cookie dough recipe. Caramelized onions. You can do a small portion, a larger portion. I always do a larger portion. Takes about 3 brown onions. The recipe doesn't tell you to, but I always add just a little bit of balsamic to bring out the flavour at the end, and it's just so delicious on all sorts of things. Now, just remember, my name is Colette Matriga. No matter where you are in Australia, I can support you in your Thermomix journey. And please head over to my blog and you'll get all the information you need on the TM6. TM6 is with us only for a few more weeks. It's not long before we say goodbye in terms of sales, but I know so many of you have your TM6s, and yes, of course, I'm going to be here to support you as we move forward. If you want one of these, great offer at the moment, over $1,000 of extras. I have just recently sold one today to a beautiful lady, and she's super excited. And of course, the TM7s are still open for pre-orders, and we are also excited. We can't wait for them to come. So there you go. My name's Colette Matriga. Thank you so much. Please, please, before you go, hit that share button. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for that. And I will see you in a few days. And I think we've got Easter eggs coming up. So thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful day, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now. Say bye, Andrew.
Bye, Andrew.
Yum.
Put some salt on.
Oh, I will.
I mean, my preference would be raw onions rather than caramelised onions. I think that would add
Really?
crispiness to the salmon. That's just personal preference.
Yeah. I get that. Bye, everyone.